Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Divination Lady, and in today's video I want to show you some examples of the predictions that I've made, accurate predictions, and hopefully give you a little bit of insight on how to do it. Now, the deck I'm using is Tarot of 1001 Nights. I don't know if you can see that. It's illustrated by Leon Carr. It's a fantastic deck. You're not going to be reading this like regular tarot, however. You're going to be reading it more like Lenormand. So hopefully if you're a card reader, you are already acquainted with Lenormand. But this is like more like Lenormand on steroids. And it's not, obviously it wasn't intended to be read that way, but it just seems to work that way for me. I don't know why that is. And it might work differently for somebody else, but I'm telling you, it works for me in such a strange but magical way. So I want to show you and maybe do some practice with you to see if your intuition can pick up on the cards as well. So I'm going to be giving you actual examples of predictions that have come true. So when I flip the cards, I want you to, if you want, of course, to pause the video and see and look at the cards and try to see what they're saying and see if it matches what actually happened, just for a fun exercise. Now, it helps if you're an introverted intuitive type. Sorry, if you have introverted intuition. If you don't know that, I highly recommend taking a free Myers-Briggs test online. You can just Google it and it will tell you what personality type you have. And there's 4 personality types that have introverted intuition. But even if you don't have introverted intuition, you can still, use tarot to develop your intuition. It's just like it comes more naturally for the introverted intuitive type, just like playing the piano comes more natural to some people, but that doesn't mean that for the ones who it doesn't come naturally that they cannot learn to play the piano, right? So just look at it that way. So the only reason how I found out that I could use this particular deck, or tarot in general, I guess, because you can do this with other decks as well, is because I was practicing on my friend last year in Australia, and I'm in Canada. So distance doesn't make a difference. Consciousness is non-local. Okay, I explained this a bit in my other video, but time and distance is not taken into consideration as it is in our 3D world. I don't know if that makes any sense, but if you watch my other video, then maybe it might make a little bit more sense. Anyways, I was practicing on my friend in Australia, and he was humoring me because he's a very skeptical person when it comes to this sort of thing. And I asked him if he could, think of something that he wants me to ask the cards. And so he said, sure. He's like, tell me what I have coming up next month. And so I refined that question and I asked the cards, I said, what unexpected thing is coming up for him in the following month? This was November 2018, and I was asking about December 2018. So these are the cards that came up. Okay, I don't know if you can see them clearly. I will hold them up a little bit closer to the camera. So again, you're not going to take the Rider-Waite meanings into consideration. You're going to look at the visual clues. So we have the World, 2 of Swords. Let's see if you can see that. Sorry about the focus. 7 of Wands. And we have the Page of Cups, Knave of Chalices. So got to take into consideration the context. So what unexpected thing is going to happen to him next month? That was basically the question. It's very good to ask specific questions because tarot will answer you specifically. Tarot or any sort of divination. You need a specific question and you need to remember the context. And so even though, a card could have multiple meanings, if you put it into the right context, it'll answer you correctly. So I'll get you to pause the video and see what you can come up with of what unexpected thing will happen next month. Now, this already happened, and I'll show you the proof of that, but I'll get you to pause the video. So when I looked at these cards, I was making a joke. I was like, well, it looks like you're going to catch a merman. And it was in that moment of just being lighthearted and making a joke that, I was able to get an intuitive hit, because you actually have to calm your mind in order to get the intuitive hit. And I didn't even know that, but I realized that after, obviously. And it was at that moment that I made that very bad joke that I saw what the cards were really trying to tell me. Especially like in the first 3 cards, it looks like a lot of water. Even though this is sky, it looks like waves. And I saw a circular, I knew that the circle had significance, right? And I saw the boat in the water was coming up to the house, and I saw ocean. And now, keeping in mind that this person who I was asking for is a farmer, and he's been experiencing a lot of drought in that entire year of 2018, and he still is actually. But I said, hey, like, I see a freak flood, some sort of freak flood. And he laughed. He's like, yeah, right. I wish. And I said, but it doesn't look like you're going to be affected. It looks like you're going to be sitting high and dry. So I saw a flash flood. And I didn't even really believe it myself, but that's what the cards were telling me. So this was the end of November when I asked. And on December the 13th, Melbourne and the province of Victoria, where he lives, received a flash flood. It was because of a cyclone further up north in the country that disrupted the weather system and caused, this freak flood where lots of people had to be rescued by helicopter even, and just highways were closed. It was just crazy. But he got rain. He did not get flooded, luckily. And so that's basically the unexpected event that happened. And when this prediction came true and I saw it in the news, I was kind of scared. I realized that tarot is a powerful tool and you can use it to predict the future. So I actually put this deck away because I was scared to use it after that. I didn't want to, accidentally see a future event that would maybe be terribly negative, like the death of a family member or something, But of course, I didn't understand that it's all about the question you ask. It has to be, if you ask a neutral question, you could get an answer that you might not want to see. So it wasn't until almost a year later that I was brave enough to use this deck again. And I will show you the next prediction I made, the very next prediction, almost a year later with this deck. So that was that question that he came up with, like, tell me what's going to happen next month, is what made me start asking the unexpected questions. Like, it's just my thing. What unexpected thing is going to happen next? But for myself, I ask what unexpected positive thing is going to happen next. And, you know, for other people. When it comes to world events, I know, like, well, I live in a safe area. There's not a lot of population, and we're not on a fault line, and, you know, we're not known to get floods. So I feel safe asking about a world event and asking it in a neutral way, if that makes any sense, because I know it's not going to directly affect me. I mean, I guess it could if it's like a bomb or something, a nuclear bomb. But, you know, I feel brave enough to ask. So my next question was, what is the next major unexpected world event? I asked this question on December the 6th, 2019. So we're still in December here. That was this month, beginning of this month, I asked this question. And this is what I got. So I want you to take a moment and look at these cards as a whole. See if you can find a pattern. I'm sorry about the glare. If you can see that photo, there we go. These are the cards that came up. Now, of course, I shuffled randomly. For this video, I prepared the cards, but when I actually like asked this question the first time, I had pulled the cards. You know, I did my overhand shuffle and I pulled the cards out, not knowing which cards they were. So hopefully your intuition picked up something there. So what I saw here was something very sudden, because what we have here is an apparition, a ghost appearing out of nowhere, and this guy is like freaked out by it. So it's like, it's telling me it's very sudden. It's like poof, all of a sudden there's a ghost, and it's scary. This card here is telling me that it's outdoors, that it's a natural event, something like that. This card here is, obviously it's an evil genie coming out of a lamp. Well, maybe that's not obvious, but there's a lamp there. It's an Arabian Nights themed deck, so that's that's a character in the book. But, you know, you don't take that actually literally. I saw like smoke, a big plume of smoke coming out of the ground. And here, it took me a while to get this, but I saw women running into the water like they were evacuating. Typically, that's not what this card is about. It's about, you know, it's more positive. This card is about sudden change. It is in the book that comes with this deck. That is one of the meanings of this card, which does fit in with sudden. It was sudden. But normally it's not a negative card. But what I saw was people evacuating into the water. So it took me only, I would say 30 seconds to figure out what this meant. It was telling me that there was going to be a volcanic eruption. Where? It didn't tell me where, but I saw that it was like, it had an island type of feel to it, right? Because it's near the water. There's people evacuating into the water. And well, obviously volcanoes are mostly located on islands, but yeah, so I didn't know where and I didn't know exactly when, but I saw that that was going to be the next major unexpected world event. So what I did was, I didn't want to make this a public prediction in case I was wrong, you know. I'm still new at this. So I did tell someone, one of my friends, and I have it on text. And I took a screenshot of it just because I wanted record with a timestamp, just in case it came true. 3 days later, the New Zealand White Island eruption happened. And I had forgotten all about this. And it was my friend who I told who notified me. She's like, wow, the eruption just happened. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it totally blew me away. And I was freaked out. I couldn't sleep that night. I was like, this is crazy. You know, it's just like you feel, what's the word? You have cognitive dissonance about it because you know that's what you saw and you know it can't be a coincidence, but still you're in disbelief. So yeah. And as you can see, the pictures of what actually happened matches the landscape, at least in this card. So it's just like the similarities are just too profound to be a coincidence. So that was that one. Okay, and the next prediction that I made was public, and it's on my Facebook group. If you want to join my Facebook group, it's called Tarot by Sophie. And you can see it for yourself. It was on December the 14th. It was on a Saturday. And I had asked what the next, again, my famous question, what the next unexpected major world event will be. Now, this wasn't really major, but it did make headlines. And as far as I know, it still is. So what I saw, well, first of all, maybe I'll let you pause the video and see if you can determine. Again, remember the context. It's a world event. So it's, you know, if the cards seem insignificant, try to amplify it because it's a world event, right? Pay particular attention to this card. It looks like trade and commerce. It looks like buying and selling, right? It's an international type of feeling. So what it was and what I saw was sudden wealth, which is what this card actually represents. Sudden wealth. This guy is coming across a fountain of gold, and it's a pleasant surprise. And this card is about commerce. So it made me think of world trade. It made me think of Wall Street. It made me think of the stock market. I was like, oh, stocks are going to rise. That's it. And this card is about secrets. It's also about surprises. So in this sense, it fit in with a surprise. Like it's a big surprise, a pleasant surprise. And then we have the Lover's card, which is a positive card. It's not about choices like, you know, the regular tarot meaning. In this deck, it's about lovers, can be about partnership. So it's like, it all made sense because of the recent China trade deal that Trump has implemented that will come into effect, I think, in January. But I was unaware of that. Like, I don't really pay attention to politics or, you know, boring stuff. Like, that stuff bores me because not like we can change anything, right? But that's what this was about. And that was on a Saturday. And I posted it on my group right away just because I wasn't sure if maybe people could benefit from it. And on Monday, the stocks started rising, and it's been 2 weeks and the stocks have reached all new highs, at least in the US stock market. Now, I don't know if this is going to continue much longer. You know, what goes up must come down, but at least for the past 2 weeks, the stocks have been rising, and that's huge because the economy has been so volatile in the past, well, year. So the cards picked up on that. And okay, So the next one, I asked on December the 15th what the next unexpected major world event will be. Now, I'll let you see that card. This is the Fool card. And then we have the Sun, the Magician, and the Six of Wands. So maybe just pause the video and see if you can come up with what this is talking about. So what I got right away, I had a feeling like this was very foreign, that this was something that wasn't in North America. What spoke to me the most was the Magician. And to me, I saw an explosion. I saw like a bomb. And it made me think of a suicide bomber or something. I saw that it was in a warm climate. And also I saw the city in that card. And I saw a crowd of people. So I wrote it down and I will show you. You probably can't read my messy handwriting. Unfortunately, I didn't put this on social media because I wasn't 100% sure, but I wrote it down. So December 15th, what is the next unexpected major world event? 1001 Nights. I wrote down the cards: Fool, Sun, Magician, Six of Wands. And so I wrote that it was a man-made event. Some type of, some type of suicide bombing involving a large crowd of people outside in a city center. I even wrote city center. I got that feeling right away. And it was a warm climate. The Magician here can mean a bomb or explosion during the daytime. Okay. So this was on December the 15th. Yesterday morning, December the 28th, in Mogadishu, Somalia, there was a car bomb that exploded in the morning rush hour, killing 70, more than 70, I'm not quite sure, but a lot of people. It's very sad. And it was in a city center. It was during the daytime. It was on foreign ground, and it wasn't a suicide bombing, but it was a terrorist bomb. It was, they're blaming it on a terrorist group. I wrote it down. I'm not going to say it right. Al-Shabaab. And they think that's who did this. And it's a horrible thing to see in the cards, but that's what I saw. I mean, I didn't see exactly where it was, but I saw that it was like in a arid, hot, dry climate. I was thinking more Middle Eastern. This was obviously in Africa, like in Northern Africa. So yeah, that's what I saw. Now, you can say that it's a coincidence because there's always, in the news, there's always suicide bombings and this and that, and that's true. I agree. But I specifically wrote, like, it's going to be in a city center, it's going to be during the daytime in a hot climate. It's going to be like a terrorist, like a suicide bombing. You can't deny. I know that's what I saw, and I was expecting it to happen soon. And it happened in about 2 weeks since my prediction. So you can predict with tarot, guys. You can predict with the cards. Doesn't matter if you're using Lenormand or tarot. I highly recommend this deck. But hopefully you can see how it works. Like, I don't use a spread. I don't use a structure, really. I just try to find redundancies in the cards to see, if there's a repeat of something, if there's an overall theme. I'm looking for all sorts of things. Sometimes it's in a sequential order. and other times it's kind of like 2 cards will be in a sequential order and then 2 cards will repeat. You know, it's different every time, but it's more or less the same. I think that's a pattern that I have made subconsciously, and that's what works for me. So you might be able to do this in a different way. This is what works for me. You might be able to do this with a certain spread. I just use my blob spread, but because I'm not a very structured person, I don't like rules. Now I'm going to show you, you can use combination. Sorry, you can use combinations. This prediction I made it was in December as well of this year. Just a sec, I'm going to get the cards organized. Okay, so I believe I made this prediction on December the 9th, 2019. You'll be able to see it in the screenshot of the conversation. I didn't make this a public prediction again, but that's only because I wasn't brave enough. I should have though, shouldn't I have? So I made this, like I said, December the 9th, and I wasn't sure at first what the cards were trying to say. I pulled these first, and then I pulled these. And they both are saying the same thing, just a little bit in a different way. But you can do that, and it will give you extra angles and just extra information, and it will further reinforce a theme. So first of all, I saw that it has something to do with a mountain. That's the first thing I saw. Sometimes I'll look at this card and I'll think it has something to do with a guy fishing, even though he's playing a flute. Like, it depends what you are drawn to. So yeah, I saw it has something to do with a mountain. And this card often comes up for like when people are searching for something, because it looks like these 2 guys are searching, right? But what I also saw was a Christmas tree, even though the illustrator didn't know or didn't intend for this to be a Christmas tree, because this is a Muslim-based deck. But I saw lots of green and red. And again, in here, I'm sorry about the focus. Oh, focus, come on. There we go. Green and red, just like Christmas. Now, other times of the year, I'm not going to associate this with Christmas, but I did for this one. So I was like, oh, it's going to happen. Whatever this is, it's going to happen on Christmas. And this card. Now, typically this is a card about air travel. It's a flying bed. Again, this is sort of like an Aladdin themed deck. So there's going to be flying beds and flying carpets. But what I saw here, even though these are clouds, I saw snow, billowing snow. Even though there's an ocean underneath and a boat there, I didn't pay attention to that. I'm like, it has something to do with snow. I look at this card. Looks like this guy is on the side of a mountain and there's snow. He's searching for something. So those are the clues. And then I looked at the Hermit card. Well, he's on the side of a mountain too, sort of. And he's pointing up. He's saying that something is coming from up there, even though he's actually telling the birds to fly up or something. But I saw him pointing up. That's what I saw. So I was like, okay, side of a mountain or snow something where people are searching. What could that mean? Oh, geez, it means avalanche. Look, he's searching in the dark. The Queen of Swords, well, she's a very cold type of woman. She's not my favorite woman in the deck. And it looks like she's covered in ice. There's a slope. There's just slopes. It's just a very cold, icy kind of feeling. I'm like, oh my goodness. And again, we have slope. We have people struggling. Are these the people that get covered with snow, or are they the ones that are searching for survivors? I don't know. I think they were the ones digging for survivors, but it just looked like a big struggle. Then we have someone resting in the snow. And notice the little bird. That has significance, and I'll explain later. He's wearing like a parka, see? And he's covered, like, it just seemed to me that he was covered in snow. So this was on December the 9th or the 10th, I can't remember exactly. And on Christmas Day, there was, in Europe somewhere, there was an avalanche where they were searching for a skier in the dark, and he was covered under 1 meter of snow for 5 hours, but he survived miraculously. It was a Christmas miracle. He had some sort of tracking device that alerted, you know, the searchers, the search party, where he was. So it's amazing that he survived. And it's actually like, you know, a good news, or a happy ending rather, because my other predictions most of them haven't been very happy endings. So yeah, that's what I saw in the cards. I saw an avalanche. And so I didn't make this a public prediction, but I did tell someone, and it's on record, and I'm happy about that. So this is the first part. In the next, in part 2 of this video, there's going to be predictions that haven't come true yet. So I feel they're going to come true very soon. Maybe by the time you watch this video, they have come true. Anyways, please watch the second part of this video, and I will see you there.